Hello, everyone. Hope you are well. Have an article to go over that I just saw on CNBC. And this is pretty much kind of old news here. But the reason I'd like to revisit it is I think this is a fantastic example of like fake news or just interpreting data and assuming correlation is causation. And just the way the media and the politicians spin what is just obvious to a third grader to make you believe things that are not true. So the gender equality policies experts say Biden should focus on right now. What qualifies someone as an expert, by the way? Unfortunately, they don't define that. I think for obvious reasons. In an op-ed for the Washington Post, Vice President Kamala Harris referred to this mass exodus of women from the workforce as a national emergency that demands a national solution. And right off the bat, what I hate about this tone and what really bothers me, and I think what should bother all of us, is that these politicians are so arrogant that they always imply that a national solution. What does that mean? That means a top-down central planning solution. So you people, you can't do this on your own. No way. The free market cannot do this on its own. The free market has failed. Individuals pursuing their own self-interest, they can't do this. No way. Impossible. You have to have my help as Kamala Harris, as a politician. We have to intervene and solve all of your problems. And my argument would be, okay, well, why haven't we done this in the past? Like, if a national solution, if you guys are so brilliant, if you're so powerful, why didn't Obama do this? Like, did he just not get around to it after 8 years? He was just way too busy. Come on. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what this does is this hardwires or brainwashes the normies in society to believe that government is the solution. The politicians are the solution. They can fix all of our problems if we just vote for the right person. It's just nonsense. So she and President Joe Biden announced a new White House Gender Policy Council. Oh, geez, here we go. Oh, my gosh. Great. A gender policy task force, if you will. That's exactly what we need. Just more bureaucracy. That's going to solve all of our problems. That will focus on many of the promises Biden made in the Biden Agenda for Women plan released last summer. And this is another thing that I just really gets under my skin. They just have a plan and a task force and a policy and a council for everything, as though that somehow is just magically going to make things happen, right? And if it's that easy, why haven't we done it in the past? Why didn't Obama do it? Why didn't Clinton do it? Why, and as if there are no unintended consequences, as if there's no downside whatsoever to creating more and more government. And it's not just more government. It's layers on top of layers on top of layers on top of layers on top of layers, to the point where it's just nothing. It's not even possible to do something productive, as if they could do something productive in the first place, which they can't. If you want change to occur, it has to happen at the individual level. It's not going to happen with a corporation. It's not going to happen with the government. It's happening at individuals, just like you and I, just organically changing what their priorities are. And I'm not talking about the gender policy and all this stuff. I'm just talking about whether it's climate change or just whatever, using electric vehicles. It doesn't, the government can't force it down your throat. It's just, and if they do, the net result is going to be far worse. And this is another thing that really gets under my skin. The hard truth is women, particularly women of color, have never had a fair shot to get ahead in this country. Really. Women have never, ever had a fair shot. His vice president is a woman of color. I mean, and the thing that really irritates me about this is it creates an attitude of, or a mindset of victimhood, to where we've got a group of people, and I don't care if it's a specific ethnic group, if it's women, if it's sexual orientation, whatever, that we're just constantly bombarding them with, you can't do it without the government's help. Left to your own devices, you can't do it. You just can't do it. The cards are just, they're stacked against you. So if you have this ingrained in your mind every single morning you wake up, every single night you go to bed, constantly, pretty soon you're going to adopt a victim mentality. And you're going to abandon all hope. You're going to give up. And then you're going to see the only opportunity for you to improve your lot in life is the government. That's it. You see what it does? Is it creates an entire society of people who believe they're victims. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have disadvantages. Absolutely. Of course. We're not all, equal. We're not, listen, when my parents were divorced when I was 7 years old. That in and of itself should stacks the cards against me. I don't care if I'm a white male. I don't care if I'm, cis, straight, whatever the nonsense term you want to use. The bottom line is, if you look at a female, as an example, that comes from a family where the parents don't get divorced, and you take a male from a family where the parents get divorced at a very young age, and they're raised by a single parent, a single mother, the probabilities of the male achieving success, let's just call it financial success, is far lower than the female, right? And you can do that with any group you want. So there's nothing you can do to stack the cards against a child more than having a split family or being raised by a single mother. So when I was young, were my parents, was society, was my church group, was my school, every single morning I woke up, every single night I went to bed, were they sitting there telling me and reminding me, oh, George, the cards are stacked against you. You're never going to make it. The man's against you. It's impossible. The whole system's against you. The whole system has been hardwired to make sure that you don't succeed. No, my parents told me the exact opposite of that. And I can almost guarantee you that if they would have told me that I couldn't make it from the time they were divorced till the time I went to college or whatever, I almost guarantee you that I would not have been as successful as I have been, because I would have had that mindset to where I never would have taken action. I never would have tried to start that business. I never would have taken the risk. I never would have invested overseas. I never would have done these things because in the back of my mind, subconsciously, I would have thought to myself, I'm never going to make it. I can't make it. The odds are stacked against me. So I might as well not even try. The only thing I should do is sit back, feel sorry for myself, complain, try to put myself in an echo chamber of all these people that feel the same way. Misery loves company. And then vote for people to give me more handouts, because the only way that I'm going to improve my lot in life is if the government comes in and gives me more stuff, because I can't get it on my own. See, this is the mindset that we're creating throughout society. And it goes back to macroeconomics. If the wealth of the society is measured by the amount of goods and services it can produce efficiently, ask yourself, if every person in society, or the majority of people, a growing percentage of people, have this mindset, is that going to mean our society in the future will produce fewer or more goods or services? And if the answer is fewer, then that means we're not going to be as wealthy. Because we keep, it's just like a kid. You just tell them over and over and over again that they're going to be a failure and that they have no chance. That what do you think is going to happen when they grow up? We should be acknowledging that there's some things, some groups that have had disadvantages. Yes, sure. 1% of the time. We should teach every kid history, the truth of what happened, whether it's a pretty or not. We should teach kids history. That's right. But that's 1% of the time. The other 99%, we should be telling them, and I'm not talking about kids, I'm talking about everyone, that if you get up off your ass and if you work hard, yes, you're going to fail. But at a certain point in time, you're going to get better and better and better and better until at a certain point in the future, you're going to improve your lot in life. I don't care if you're a woman. I don't care if you're purple, pink, yellow, 7 feet tall, 4 feet tall. I don't care what it is. Just let's get rid of this victim mentality. It's not doing us any good. And that's not even what I wanted to talk about. That was just a total tangent. So they go over this. Here's the plan. Economic stimulus. So the quote unquote experts are saying, okay, we've got this $1.9 trillion relief package. It's a start. It's a move in the right direction. But boy, oh boy, that's really not going to cut it. We need more and more and more. So you see they create this task force and the experts, and they create this 5-point plan or a checklist or whatever they want to call it. But it's all the same garbage. It's all the same nonsense. Step number 1, make you feel like a victim. Step number 2, give you money. And that's going to solve all our problems. Another economic stimulus plan. Okay, what does that mean? Give you more money. Let's keep going down here. What's next? Oh, increase investment in childcare. What does that mean? Spend more money. Raise minimum wage. Let me guess. Spend more money. Pass Paycheck Fairness Act. And here's where we get into the more brainwashing and just intellectual dishonesty, right? Right now, women are on average paid 82 cents for every dollar paid to men. And if you haven't heard yet, this is utter BS. This is complete nonsense. If you compare apples to apples, single women to single men, and if you compare the same education, if you compare the same industry, if you compare the same job, it is not even close to 82 cents. It might be 97 cents. And then when you equalize for other factors, a lot of times women make more money. And listen, it makes total sense. I was an entrepreneur for many, many years. And if entrepreneurs are so greedy, and if the capitalist is so greedy, if they could hire an employee at 82 cents on the dollar that did the exact same job, wouldn't they do that? Like, let me say this another way. If capitalists are so greedy, why would they hire a man? It doesn't even make sense. They would hire all women. Now, you may say, well, they're not doing that because it's a boys' club or blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Then they're not that greedy. Take your pick. They're either greedy or they're either greedy and they're going to hire women, or they're not hiring women and they're not greedy, because you can't have both. Of course, the reason that all employers and greedy people aren't hiring all women is because it's just nonsense. That women are being paid the exact same amount as men. And so, for some industries, it's a little less. For some industries, it's a little more. I mean, the women that I had in my last business that had over 100 employees, women held the main roles, and they were getting paid way more than the dudes. And in fact, I had a couple people that were in a certain in a similar job, and the women were getting paid more, and the gals that were on commission were getting paid more. I mean, that's just anecdotal, I understand, but if you actually think it through, it makes no sense. Mandate paid sick and family leave. Going back to bread and butter, spend more money. Pass the Equality Act. I don't even know what that means. Long-standing gaps in federal law. But see, this is the exact same thing as the women deal. If you're a greedy capitalist, you're just going to hire whomever's going to make you the most money, period. As an entrepreneur, do you think I cared at all about someone's sexual orientation? Like just think about that for a moment. Just let's think about that. So you're someone that has their life savings on the line. You are responsible for providing for your kids' future, putting a roof over their head, putting food on the table. And you've got everything on the line with this business. If it succeeds, then you achieve your goals and your dreams for your family. If it fails, you're done. You're out on the street. That's the situation for most entrepreneurs who create most of the jobs in the United States. So you're going to tell me that guy or gal is going to have two applicants. One can make them $100,000 and they're white, or they're straight, let's say. And the other one can make them $1 million, but they're gay. You really think that entrepreneur is going to say, oh, yeah, I mean, boy, I'd really love the $1 million, and I do have everything on the line, including the future of my family. But boy, I don't want to work around a gay dude. Trust me, there are, I'm not going to say zero, but there are as close to zero as possible entrepreneurs that are going to say that. You're going to hire the person that you think can make you the most money. Period. End of story. Anyone that would suggest otherwise is trying to get you to feed you a line of complete BS, or has just been brainwashed by these politicians, or has just never really run a business themselves. There's just no way. And if they've run a business, they might have run one. You always get these people say, well, I've been a business owner. Really? How many employees do you have? Well, I have 3 employees. Okay. That's a nice little hobby you got there. My lemonade stand had more than 3 employees. So I'm not here to disparage anyone, but yes, you're an entrepreneur. Yes, you're a small business owner, but you really start to see how things work when you've got 20, 50, 100 employees, and you're taking these huge risks where you're investing all of this money into an idea. And if it fails, you're done. You're done. You're out on the street. That's what separates the pros from the amateurs, let's say. And here's where we get to the heart of the matter, right here. The expert, in conclusion, now is not a time for austerity. It's time to take bold action. And I love it when all the politicians and the experts say bold action. All that means is we need to spend money like a whore in church. We need to spend money like a drunken sailor. We need to spend money like I probably shouldn't have said those first 2 things. I'll try to keep it kid friendly here. I just get really animated. Yeah, I was going to give you a couple more examples of spending money, but that would have taken us to some locker room talk. So you get my point. It's just all about spending money. But the plan for the future is to build a strong infrastructure and strong systems so that when we have another crisis like a pandemic. Now, listen. So listen to what we're saying here. What we need to do right now is spend a ton of money and go into massive amounts of debt. The $5 trillion of debt that we added last year, that's nothing. That's just a down payment. We need to add 10 trillion, 20 trillion. This is no time for austerity, because if we add all of that debt onto the consumer balance sheet, the federal balance sheet, the corporate balance sheet, then the next time we have a crisis, well, we're going to be a lot stronger. As you know, and as you're thinking right now, it's the complete opposite of that. If we want to be stronger, we need to reduce the amount of debt we have. We need to improve our balance sheet. It's complete Orwell. It's reverse speak. Unbelievable. And of course, who's going to distribute the bold action? Goes right back to the politicians. And that's what they want. Because if you didn't need a politician, if you didn't need the government, it would take away all of their power and all of their control. That's the bottom line.